Hey Reddit, not sure where to even begin. I've been reading posts here for years, but never thought I'd write one myself. I guess I need clarity more than advice, but maybe both. This is long, and honestly, I'm writing more for my own sanity than anything else. I was married for 9 years. We have two kids, 8 and 5. My wife, let's call her Dee, was always the calm, stable one. Together we built what I thought was a solid life. Small apartment, regular job, kids doing fine, family dinners, Sunday parks. You know the drill. I thought we were good. Not in the honeymoon way, but in the we survived diapers and sleep deprivation and still laugh sometimes kind of way. I wasn't passionate, no, but I was loyal, steady, present. I thought that was enough. Looking back, there were signs, small ones. Her long silences at dinner, less laughter, less her. But we all go through phases, right? I chalked it up to stress, hormones, maybe burnout. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to stir things up. Now I realize I never stirred anything. I just let things sink. It happened on a Wednesday. Not that the day matters, but I remember it because it was raining. Like cliché kind of raining. I came home from work, shook off my wet coat, and saw her sitting at the kitchen table with a look I couldn't read. No yelling, no tears, just this stillness. She said, "I need a break." I said, "A break from what?" She said, "From all of this, from you, from us." I was stunned. I asked if we were fighting, if she was unhappy, if something happened. She just shook her head. "I just need space to think." I didn't understand. We hadn't argued in months. Things were quiet, yes, but stable. She had already packed a small suitcase, said she was going to stay with her friend for a while. Our kids were at her mom's for the week. Coincidence, she said. I didn't stop her. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there watching the woman I thought I knew walk out the door with half her life and none of her emotion. That night I made dinner for one, then threw away untouched. The first few days were surreal, like the air in the apartment had changed. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. Her slippers still sat by the bed. Her mug was still on the counter. But her absence screamed louder than any fight we never had. I kept expecting a message, an update, something. But nothing came. Just silence. I cleaned a lot. I think it was a way to not think. Scrubbed the kitchen tiles like they were covered in answers. I slept on the couch, not because the bed was too big, but because it smelled like her shampoo. After 3 days, I started going through old photos. At first out of nostalgia, then obsession. I looked at every picture like a detective. Was she faking that smile? Did she already check out? Then came the texts. Not hers, mine. Years of conversations between us. I read them like a novel I didn't write. She used to send heart emojis, then stopped. I used to say, "I love you" randomly, then stopped. We stopped talking, but I didn't see it. The house was quiet, but in that quiet, I could hear every word we never said. On day 5, I got a message from a mutual friend. Nothing dramatic, just, "Hey, how you holding up?" I told him the truth. Confused, mostly. He paused, typed ... for a while, then said, "I thought you knew." That phrase, I swear, it physically hit me.
Knew what? I asked. He backpedaled fast, said he didn't want to get in the middle, said it wasn't his place, said, "Forget it, man, I'm sure it's nothing." But the damage was done, the seed was planted. So I started looking. I checked her Instagram. Private now. Odd. I checked old comments. Found a guy, we'll call him N, like nearly every photo of hers going back years. Weird, but maybe just a fan, right? Then I saw a tag, one I'd never noticed before. A yoga retreat, 6 months ago. She told me it was just the girls. But there he was. N. In the background of a group photo. Too close, too casual. I zoomed in and my stomach dropped. She was wearing the same necklace she wore when she came back. The one I thought I bought her. I hadn't.
I didn't sleep that night. Just sat there, phone in hand, trying to convince myself it meant nothing. People go to yoga. People post group photos. People stand close. Right? But something inside me, something quiet and undeniable, whispered, "She's not yours anymore." The next day, I did something I hadn't done in years. I talked to my best friend honestly. We've known each other since college. He was best man at our wedding. Let's call him Max. I told him everything, that she left, that I felt blind, that something was off. He went quiet, too quiet. I pushed. And he finally broke. Said he'd seen them together once, a coffee shop across town, months ago. Not obviously intimate, but close. Way too close for just yoga. He didn't tell me back then. Didn't want to cause drama if it was innocent. I asked him, "Do others know?" Max didn't answer directly, just said, "You weren't exactly subtle about how distant things had gotten." People noticed. And I didn't.
That weekend, I texted her. "We need to talk. Not about the kids. About you and him." Read at 11:42 a.m. No reply. I waited 3 hours, then sent a second message. "I know." She responded a few minutes later. "Can we meet somewhere neutral?" Neutral. As if we were countries at war. We met at a cafe halfway between her friend's place and our apartment. She looked tired. Not guilty, not angry, just done. Like someone who'd already cried her tears before I even found mine. I asked, "How long?" She said, "Does it matter?" I didn't yell. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I just sat there gripping the edge of the table like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. I thought we were okay. She looked me in the eye and said something I'll never forget. "We weren't. You didn't notice."
I stared at her across that tiny cafe table. The noise of other people clinking cups and laughing around us like a cruel joke. I asked again, more quietly this time, "How long?" She took a sip of her coffee. No milk, no sugar. She used to take both. "About a year," she said. A year. 365 days. Birthdays, holidays, school plays. A year of living a lie, or maybe just me living one.
I asked the stupidest question a betrayed person can ask. Do you love him? She didn't answer right away. That was an answer. Then she said, I don't know. Maybe. But it's not about him. She looked at me like I was a ghost. It's about what we became. You stopped seeing me, Artyom. You stopped talking. We were roommates with rings. I wanted to fight her words, but I couldn't, because deep down I had felt it too, that slow erosion. I had just chosen silence over discomfort. And silence, as it turns out, is a hell of a killer.
After the cafe, I walked for hours. I couldn't go home. I couldn't go anywhere familiar. I ended up sitting on a bench near the river, watching the water move like it knew where it was going, unlike me. The anger hit later, not at first. At first, it was numbness, like someone had unplugged my emotions to stop me from short-circuiting. But then the rage kicked in, not just at her, at everything. At every birthday we celebrated while she was mentally elsewhere. At every dinner where I asked, "How was your day?" and got "fine," because I didn't really want to hear more. And myself, for missing it, for avoiding the hard conversations, for being asleep at the wheel of my own life. I threw a glass across the kitchen wall that night. It didn't help, but for 2 seconds it felt like something broke other than me. I thought about calling her, thought about calling him. I didn't. What was I going to say? You ruined me? No, I helped. I helped by pretending everything was fine for years, just to avoid asking if it really was.
The days after that blurred together. It's strange how time stretches and compresses when your world cracks. I still went to work, still made the kids breakfast when it was my turn, still smiled at neighbors, but it was all autopilot, like watching myself live from a distance. I stopped checking her social media, not because I didn't care, but because I couldn't handle seeing her okay. It's one thing to be betrayed. It's another to watch the person who hurt you move on like you never existed. People started treating me differently. Whispered support, side glances. My mom sent food. My sister offered to break his knees, which made me laugh for the first time in weeks. But none of it helped, because I didn't know who I was anymore. I wasn't a husband. I wasn't a partner. I wasn't even angry now, just empty. I started staying up late, just sitting in the dark, not drinking, not crying, just being there, existing hurt, but doing nothing somehow hurt less.
One night, around 3 a.m., I opened a blank document on my laptop and started writing. Not to her, not to him, to me. To the man I was 10 years ago, before the kids, the mortgage, the silence. I wrote, "You promised you'd never stop noticing her. You used to listen when she laughed. You forgot that love isn't just presence, it's participation." It wasn't some poetic therapy session. It was raw, ugly, messy. Pages and pages of regrets, what-ifs, should-haves, and maybe next times. I wrote until sunrise, then deleted the file. Not out of shame, but because I didn't need to keep it. The act of writing it burned it out of me. A piece of me died that night, the version of myself who thought being steady was enough. Turns out, you can stand still so long that the person next to you walks away, and you don't notice until they're a dot on the horizon.
After that night, something shifted. I didn't suddenly heal. There was no epiphany, no movie moment of closure. But I stopped chasing noise. I let the silence speak. And for the first time, I actually listened. I started remembering the early years with her. Not with bitterness, but clarity. The little moments I took for granted. How she used to rest her hand on my chest when we fell asleep. How she always paused before opening a gift, as if savoring the moment. How she used to talk so much when she was excited, and how I used to tune her out. Those memories didn't hurt the same way anymore. They weren't knives, more like echoes. Gentle reminders of what once was, and what I let erode in the name of normal life. I started journaling. Nothing fancy, just thoughts, questions. Some nights I asked myself things like, when did I last really see her? When did I last feel seen? Why was silence easier than honesty? The answers weren't pretty, but they were mine. And for the first time in months, I felt human again.
Eventually, we had to talk logistics. Kids, schedules, pickups, holidays. It was civil. Too civil. Like two coworkers trying not to make eye contact in the elevator. She'd drop the kids off with a practiced smile. I'd ask how they were doing. She'd answer in one-word updates. We never talked about us. And honestly, I didn't want to. Not anymore. The hardest part was watching her hug our children with warmth I no longer recognized. Hearing them laugh in her car as she drove away. Knowing she was still capable of love, just not with me. There were nights when my daughter would ask, "Why don't you and Mommy live together anymore?" I'd freeze. Lie. Say something like, "Grown-ups just need space sometimes." How do you explain emotional erosion to an 8-year-old? Sometimes I wondered if she missed me. Not the now me, the one she left, but the then me, the boy she married, the dreamer, the man who used to write silly poems and dance in the kitchen. I missed him too, but I wasn't sure he existed anymore.
It had been about 9 months since she left when it happened. Nothing cinematic, no rain, no music, no instant spark. I was in a bookstore, thumbing through a book I'd pretended to read in college. She was in the same aisle. Brown coat, messy bun, glasses sliding off her nose. She smiled at me when I dropped the book. I laughed and said, "It's trying to escape." She laughed too. Not politely, actually laughed. We talked for a few minutes. Her name was Lena. She was kind, curious, and didn't ask me why I looked a little broken. She just asked what I liked to read. It was the first time in nearly a year that someone looked at me and didn't see a man unraveling. Just a man. I didn't get her number. Not then. But when I left the store, I realized something. For the first time in a long, long while, I didn't feel invisible. Not to her. Not to myself. It wasn't love, but it was something. A spark. A reminder. I was still here. After that day at the bookstore, things didn't magically fix themselves, but something inside me shifted. I started opening up, slowly, awkwardly, but honestly, to my sister, to my kids, even to myself. I'd catch myself saying things I used to bury. I'm lonely today. I miss who I used to be. I wish I'd listened sooner.
Not for pity, not for praise, just to let the words exist, because silence had cost me too much already. I reconnected with old friends, not through forced beer nights, but real conversations. I apologized to people I had drifted from, and I didn't blame my ex anymore. Not because what she did was okay, it wasn't, but because carrying that weight was slowly killing whatever pieces of me were still trying to rebuild. I saw Lena again, a few weeks later. This time, I did get her number. We're not a couple, not yet, maybe never. But we talk. And the conversations are messy, vulnerable, real. I don't stay quiet anymore, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable.
It's been over a year now. I live in a different apartment. Smaller, simpler, quieter in a good way. The kids have 2 homes now, and somehow they're okay. Resilient little humans. We bake cookies when they're with me. I burn half of them every time. They think it's hilarious. My ex and I, we coexist. We communicate like adults. Sometimes we even laugh, briefly, like old colleagues who once built something that almost worked. But the biggest change? I know myself again. Not the husband, not the placeholder, not the silent ghost walking through his own life. Just me. I write more now. Essays, stories, messy half-thoughts. One of them got published online. It was called We Just Didn't Talk. Funny how simple the truth can be. People think healing looks like triumph, like some big win or new romance or revenge body. But for me, it looks like sitting on the balcony with a cup of tea at sunset. Not needing to check my phone. Not waiting for anyone. Just breathing. And for the first time, in a very, very long time, that's enough.